I was broken, and staring at a screen that hated me. Until one silent moment changed everything. This is the moment 93% of traders never feel, and the 5 quiet signs that prove you're finally becoming the 7% who last. If you've ever felt the market mock your dreams, this story is for you. There's a strange moment in every trader's life when you look at the charts, the same chaotic lines that once overwhelmed you with their relentless ups and downs, and suddenly, they don't scream anymore. Instead, they whisper secrets you've been too distracted to hear. The noise fades into a quiet rhythm, and you realize something profound has shifted deep within you, not in the market, but in your soul. It's that elusive turning point most traders dream of, but never quite grasp, unmarked by flashing profits or triumphant wins. Now, it's etched in silence, a calm that signals you're no longer part of the frantic 93% who chase shadows and burn out in exhaustion. You're stepping into the rarefied air of the 7%, those who endure, who thrive not by luck, but by a quiet transformation of the heart and mind. I've lived through this myself, felt the weight of countless sleepless nights staring at screens, my heart pounding with every tick, only to emerge on the other side with a peace I never knew was possible. It's a journey that breaks you first, then rebuilds you stronger. And today, I want to share it with you not as a distant lecturer, but as someone who's walked the same turbulent path, felt the same crushing doubts, and tasted the sweet relief of clarity. We're diving deep into 5 subtle signs that you're finally crossing that threshold into becoming a profitable trader. Signs that whisper before they roar, appearing not in your bank balance, but in the quiet evolution of your thoughts, your habits, and the way you hold your breath during a volatile swing. These aren't just observations. They're echoes of my own story, laced with the emotions that nearly broke me and ultimately saved me. Let me take you back to my early days, when trading felt like a wild storm I was desperate to conquer. I remember sitting in my dimly lit room, the glow of multiple screens casting shadows on the walls. My coffee gone cold as I obsessed over every candle, every flicker of price action. The excitement was intoxicating at first, a rush of adrenaline that made me feel alive, like I was on the cusp of unlocking unlimited wealth. But soon, that thrill turned toxic. It became a compulsion, a fear of missing out that gnawed at my insides, leaving me anxious and depleted. I'd refresh the charts every 30 seconds, my pulse racing, my palms sweaty, convinced that if I blinked, I'd miss the move. I was addicted to motion, to noise, to the illusion of control. And then came the crash, not just in the market, but in me. A single bad day, one impulsive revenge trade after another, and suddenly my account was bleeding, my confidence shattered. And I was staring at a reflection I didn't recognize, a man who looked like a gambler, not a trader. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor of my apartment, back against the wall, tears streaming down my face, whispering to myself, "What am I doing? Is this really who I am?" The first sign you're becoming a profitable trader is when you no longer trade for that fleeting excitement. Instead, you trade for clarity, for the serene understanding that comes from stepping back. I learned this the hard way after a string of impulsive trades that wiped out weeks of gains in a single afternoon. My hands shook as I closed positions prematurely, driven by a panic that felt like drowning. But one day, after journaling my failures through tear-streaked pages, something shifted. I started checking charts less obsessively, allowing myself to breathe, to sit in the stillness without the urge to act. It wasn't laziness. It was liberation. Drawing from the wisdom of legends like Jesse Livermore, who once confessed that his greatest profits came not from frantic thinking, but from patient sitting, I began to embrace the discipline of waiting. Imagine the emotional weight lifting off your shoulders when you realize the market isn't a battlefield to charge into, but a vast ocean where the wise sailor waits for the right wind. This shift brought me tears of relief, a profound sense of control over my impulses, my fears, and yes, even my greed. You start to feel at peace, not because the charts are kind, but because you've tamed the storm within yourself. It's a personal victory that no one else sees, but it changes everything, turning trading from a frantic gamble into a deliberate art form where patience isn't just a virtue. It's your most powerful edge. I remember the first time I let a perfect setup pass because it didn't align with my rules. My old self would have jumped in, heart racing, desperate not to miss out. But that day, I closed the platform, went for a walk under the fading sun, felt the cool evening air on my skin, and smiled. For the first time, I wasn't running from silence, I was living in it. And in that silence, I found strength as I reflect on those turbulent times. I can't help but feel a swell of emotion thinking about how losses once shattered me, like fragile glass under the hammer of regret. There were nights I'd lie awake, replaying every wrong decision, my chest tight with self-doubt, wondering if I'd ever escape the cycle of pain. I'd refresh my P&L obsessively, each red number a stab to the heart, a confirmation that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. One loss in particular still haunts me, a position I held too long, hoping, praying, bargaining with the market like it could hear my desperation. When it finally hit my stop, I didn't just lose money. I lost a piece of myself. I sat frozen, staring at the screen, tears blurring the numbers, whispering, I failed again. The second sign emerges when you begin to view losses not as personal attacks, but as gentle teachers, offering feedback that shapes your growth rather than defining your worth. In my journey, a particularly devastating loss, a trade that spiraled out of control due to my stubborn refusal to cut it short, left me emotionally raw, questioning my very identity as a trader. But from that abyss, I rose by shifting my questions. No longer, why did this happen to me? But did I honor my plan? This mindset pivot was like a balm to my wounded spirit, transforming red ink from a curse into a compass. Every profitable trader I've connected with, through forums or quiet conversations over coffee, shares this evolution. They've all wept over losses, felt the sting of failure, yet emerged with a resilience born from understanding that consistency blooms from execution, not perfection. It's an emotional rebirth where you detach your self-worth from the whims of the market, allowing calm to replace chaos. Picture the freedom in that. No single setback can crush you because your identity is rooted in process, not profit. For me, this sign manifested during a quiet evening walk after a losing day. Instead of rage, I felt gratitude for the lesson, a warmth spreading through me as I realized I was growing, not just as a trader, but as a person capable of enduring life's uncertainties with grace. I began to journal not just the trade, but the emotion. I felt fear. I ignored my rule. I learned. Each entry became a brick in a new foundation. And one day, after a string of small losses executed perfectly according to plan, I closed my laptop and didn't check the charts again that night. I cooked dinner. I laughed with a friend. I slept. And when I woke up, I wasn't broken. I was becoming. Trusting your own judgment. That's the third sign. And oh, how it tugs at the heartstrings when I recall the years I spent doubting myself. Jumping from guru to guru, strategy to strategy. Like a lost soul searching for salvation in someone else's playbook. The loneliness of those moments was palpable. I'd second-guess every setup, my confidence eroded by the market's cruel tricks, leaving me feeling small and insignificant. I'd buy a course, follow it religiously for a week. See it fail, blame myself. Then scramble to the next shiny system promising 90% win rates and effortless profits. I was a collector of hope, not a builder of skill. Each failure chipped away at my belief in myself until I barely recognized the man in the mirror, eyes bloodshot. Shoulders slumped, voice trembling as I muttered, "Maybe I'm just not cut out for this." But after accumulating scars from failed experiments, each one a story of hope dashed by reality, I began to hear my inner voice again. Not the whisper of emotion, but the steady hum of hard-earned intuition. This trust didn't come overnight. It was forged in the fire of reflection, data analysis, and the quiet pain of persistence. Boring trading became my mantra, where the absence of drama signaled progress, and my best trades unfolded in calm, not frenzy. Emotionally, it was like reuniting with a long-lost friend myself. The peace of mind that followed outweighed any quick win. A deep-seated contentment that trading was no longer about ego, but about alignment with a system I bled to build. I've shared tears with fellow traders who've reached this point, celebrating the subtle power of self-reliance, where the market's tests no longer shatter you but sharpen you. It's a heartfelt milestone, reminding you that mastery isn't about outsmarting the charts. It's about harmonizing with your own rhythm, turning potential despair into enduring strength. I remember the first trade I took solely on my system. No YouTube confirmation, no Discord hype, no second opinion. It was a simple setup, clean, aligned, boring. I entered. I waited. I exited at target. And when it closed in profit, I didn't cheer. I didn't post it online. I just closed my eyes, placed a hand on my chest, and felt the quiet thud of a heart that finally believed in itself. That was the day I stopped asking permission from the market and started giving it to myself, waking up each morning with a protective instinct toward your discipline rather than a frantic hunt for opportunities. That's the fourth sign, and it carries an emotional depth that still moves me to this day. I remember the exhaustion of those early years, when every dawn felt like a race against time, my heart heavy with the pressure to perform, to prove myself worthy. I jolt awake at 5 a.m., adrenaline already surging, convinced that if I didn't catch the open, I'd miss my shot at redemption. My mornings were rituals of anxiety, black coffee, racing pulse, whispered prayers to the charts. But as I matured, I understood that not every day needs to yield gold. Some are for watching, waiting, and preserving the sacred flame of productivity. Waiting became a position in itself, a quiet act of faith that opportunity builds in silence, not noise. This realization hit me during a prolonged market low. Instead of frustration, I felt a serene acceptance, emotional lightness as I pursued hobbies outside trading, rediscovering joy in simple things like family dinners or long reads. Discipline evolved from restriction to alignment, a harmonious dance where mind, system, and patience moved as one. The emotional payoff was immense. No more drain after sessions, no tying my worth to equity curves. Trading from peace, not pressure, brought clarity that illuminated not just my charts but my life, teaching me to respond rather than react, to flow with uncertainty like a river carving its path. It's a personal transformation that fills me with gratitude, knowing that this calm is the bedrock of longevity, a gift that extends beyond screens into every corner of existence. I began to treat my trading plan like a sacred vow, not a suggestion, not a guideline, but a promise to the version of myself I was becoming. And on the days when nothing moved, when the charts were flat and the world screamed, "Do something," I sat still. I breathed. I honored the silence. And in that stillness, I found power. One afternoon, after passing on 5 almost setups, I stepped away from my desk, laced up my shoes, and went for a run. The rhythm of my feet on the pavement matched the rhythm of my breath. And for the first time in years, I wasn't running from anything. I was running toward discipline, toward peace, toward the trader I was always meant to be. Finally, the fifth sign whispers of thinking in probabilities, not rigid outcomes. A mindset that evokes a profound sense of liberation and humility in me whenever I ponder it. In my youth, I craved certainty, wanting to be right on every call, my ego bruised by each misstep, leading to cycles of hope and despair that left me emotionally spent. I'd stare at a winning trade, chest puffed with pride, only to watch the next one reverse and send me spiraling into shame. I was a slave to outcome, a puppet of price. But over time, through the heartache of inconsistent results, I embraced the gambler's fallacy no more. Instead, I became a steward of edges, focusing on good bets repeated faithfully. This trade didn't work, but it was a good trade. Those words became my emotional anchor, prioritizing process over pride. The market rewards consistency, not clairvoyance, and this truth brought tears of relief as I detached from overreactions, letting winners run and losers teach without resentment. It's an internal shift where you operate as a scientist of your system, logic prevailing over emotion, building profitability in the quiet repetition of right actions. For me, this meant accepting delays between discipline and reward, a patient endurance that fostered deep inner peace. As I share this, my heart swells with empathy for those still in the trenches, knowing that this mastery arrives in silence, reflecting your growth back at you like a faithful mirror. I began to track not just P&L, but process score. Did I follow entry? Risk? Exit? Each yes was a quiet victory. Each no a lesson, not a failure. And over months, the equity curve began to rise not in dramatic spikes, but in a gentle, steady climb like a river carving stone. 1 year in, I looked back at my journal and saw it. 68% win rate. But more importantly, 94% plan adherence. The wins didn't matter. The obedience did. And in that obedience, I found freedom. Yet, as I've journeyed further, I've uncovered even rarer signs. Like valuing time as your greatest ally, a realization that stirred emotions of regret for years wasted in haste. Time shifts from enemy to companion, where seasons of patience outshine seconds of frenzy, preserving capital through survival rather than spectacle. This precision feels like craftsmanship, deliberate and respectful, extending discipline into life beyond trading, less rushing, more trust. Trading becomes a mirror of character, building an identity resilient to storms, where emotional endurance trumps logic alone. I began to see drawdowns not as disasters, but as tuition expensive, yes, but necessary. And in paying it, I earned wisdom. Simplifying everything follows, stripping away the clutter of indicators that once overwhelmed me, bringing freedom in minimalism. My charts went from rainbow chaos to clean lines. Price, volume, one moving average. That's it. And in that simplicity, I found power. But beware complacency. Humility must shadow mastery. A lesson learned through near falls that kept my curiosity alive. Success is maintenance, a balance of confidence and caution leading to profound peace. I still journal. I still review. I still wake up grateful, not entitled. When consistency settles in, sustainability tests you anew, guarding against greed's subtle whispers amid winds. Trading evolves into meditation on patience, a craft revealing human behavior in every candle panic in red, greed in green, fear in hesitation. Valuing boredom as the forge of consistency lightens your entire being, imparting life's lessons in detachment and awareness. The greatest trade is self-mastery, making profit inevitable for those who deserve it through transformation. I no longer celebrate big wins with champagne. I celebrate quiet days. I didn't trade, didn't force, didn't flinch. Those are the real victories. We've built a community here, bound by shared struggles and triumphs. Tell me in the comments, what stage resonates with you? What challenges persist? Which sign hit you hardest? Like, share, subscribe, let's grow together. Remember, these signs aren't distant goals. They're your current reality unfolding. Profit is mindset, maturity and calm embrace it now. You're not becoming a profitable trader. You already are.